Hello, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Hello, Steeler Nation. Welcome to the latest episode of Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate with me, your host, Pittsburgh Owen, your voice from across the pond. Thank you for choosing to watch this video here on the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. And today we're going to be talking about Najee Harris and why we need to support him next season in 2022. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have not yet signed in free agency or drafted a running back. Yes, they picked up a couple of undrafted free agents, but at the moment we have not added a quality second option to Najee Harris. Najee Harris, who had a fantastic rookie season. If you consider as well, he played behind a pretty awful offensive line. His statistics look even more impressive. Let's have a quick look at those statistics, shall we? Najee Harris, 307 rushing attempts, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaging 3.9 yards per carry. Also consider that he broke 15% of his tackles, 66.5% of his yards came after contact. So over 2/3 of Najee Harris's yards came after he made contact with opposition players. He was involved in 41% of the snaps with a touch. He had overall 381 touches of the ball without fumbling. Harris cannot be used to that same extent this coming season. If he is, then we risk again wearing the tires off him and injuring him. At the end of the 2021 season, during the Baltimore game, Najee Harris injured his arm. He was therefore not able to play a full part in that game, and didn't the offense look inept and pretty awful without Najee Harris? In the playoff game against Kansas City, due to the fact he was carrying an injury, he was not as effective as he had been previously. An injured Najee Harris is not as effective. We need to keep Najee fit and raring to go, especially if this offense is going to operate mainly through Harris this coming season. It would be a fool not to use him. He is an awesome running back and a great catch for the ball as well. If you think about it, over 1,667 all-purpose yards, 381 touches without a fumble. Absolutely awesome from this man, Najee Harris. But not only that, he is a leader through what he says and the way he acts. But we need to help him. If you look at Benny Snell's statistics from last season, Benny Snell had a pretty poor season. 36 attempts, 98 yards, no touchdowns, an average of 2.7 yards per carry. That's pretty paltry. Taking his career, for example, 255 attempts for 892 yards, not even the same as Najee Harris in his career, and he's got more experience than Harris. 3.5 yard average, 6 touchdowns. His longest run is 30 yards. He's had 15 receptions for 97 yards. Benny Snell Jr. is not the answer at running back. Benny Snell football, whatever. Benny Snell football is poor football. He isn't able to find the gaps. Even when there is a gap created, he's often running into the back of his own blockers. Plus, Snell is not going to be able to run behind an average offensive line, let alone a poor line. Now, it's hopeful that this season the offensive line will be better than it has been previously, given the fact we have now signed the likes of James Daniels, Mason Cole, for example, Kendrick Green with a further season under his belt, Dan Moore with a further season under his belt as well. A little bit more depth around the offensive line. Even if we can get the offensive line to midway point, it's going to help Harris be a lot better. Kalen Ballage obviously looks like he is not going to be retained, but again, was fairly unimpressive last season. Take next Trey Edmonds, another running back on the roster currently. 31 attempts. This is his career stats. 140 yards, 4.5 average, 1 TD, 45 was his long, 6 receptions for 48 yards, 8 average, no touchdowns. Again, fairly unimpressive statistics. Even if you go and look at someone like Ant McFarlane was pretty much a healthy scratch in the majority of games that he was fit for and he was able to play in. The Steelers clearly have no faith in Anthony McFarlane as that change of pace back as a backup running back to Najee Harris. So what we're going to do, how are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to react? What do we do to support Najee Harris? Something has got to be done. The Steelers need to bring in someone who is going to average about 10 to 15 carries a game to spell Harris to be able to have a rest, reduce the risk of injury, and really support him to be the caliber runner that he is capable of being. I think if we can put someone in to support Najee Harris behind a better offensive line this year, Najee Harris will smash his 1,200 yards. We could be looking at 1,600, 1,800. Adding to that passing yards, I think there's a really good opportunity for Najee Harris to go plus 2,000 all-purpose yards in this forthcoming NFL season. So the Steelers have signed two undrafted free agent rookies out of college after the draft since the drafts ended on Saturday. Now, the first one of those is a guy that is called Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren is out of Oklahoma State University. He is signed to the Steelers by Steelers on an undrafted free agent contract. He is from Salt Lake City, Utah. He is a senior. He's 5'8", 204 pounds. His prospect grade is 5.94, average backup or special teamer. He ran a 4.55 in the 40-yard dash. Jalen Warren is described as compact, burly, ready to collide, highly self-confident and competitive, almost no dancing when the ball is in his hands, guides blockers into linebackers on second level, gets harder to handle once he's up to the second level, makes cuts without losing speed. Big chunk of his yardage comes after contact, bounces off bodies and crashes through arm tackles, talented catching and creating in screen game. However, some weaknesses are that he has one-speed running style, lacks unpredictability, tight hips with restricted strides, linear attack forces to him cut prematurely, lacks lateral burst for side door escapes, below average speed to widen the field, unreliable option on the third down pass protection. So not a ringing endorsement of him on NFL.com. But let's see how he goes through minicamp and through practice. Another option is this man here, Mateo Durant. Now, this is really interesting. Mateo Durant has been given the largest undrafted free agent rookie running back contract ever. Okay, so he has now been given that it's the largest contract for a running back in undrafted free agency ever. Durant is 6'1". He's 200 pounds. He had over 1,200 yards rushing, 9 TDs for the Blue Devils this year. He also ran a 4.38 on his 40-yard dash. So he's a lot quicker than Jalen Warren. He is someone who could be that change of pace back. And the Steelers clearly have some faith in him to give him this big contract to bring him in to the roster to try out to get into the team behind Najee Harris. This guy here could be a real possibility for that. Of course, beyond those UDFAs they've signed in Jalen Warren and Mateo Durant, there are some free agents still on the market for experienced NFL veterans. These include Sony Michel of the LA Rams, formerly the New England Patriots, Devonta Freeman of the Ravens, Alex Collins of the Seahawks, David Johnson, I think he was last at the Cardinals or the Texans, and Darrell Williams of the Chiefs. These, again, are all options for your Pittsburgh Steelers as a future running back. Maybe Mateo Durant will work out. Maybe they need to go back to free agency. But I do think they need to sign somebody to back Najee up. Somebody who's going to bring a lot more talent and a lot more quality than Ant Mac, than Trey Edmonds, and then Benny Snell Jr. That's my thoughts anyway. What do you think out there in Steeler Nation? Drop me a comment below. Do we need to bring in a running back too? Where would you like to see him come from? Would you like to see one of these undrafted free agents like Mateo Durant work out? Or would you prefer to see the Steelers go out and sign one of these experienced free agents like Sony Michel, like Devonta Freeman, like Alex Collins, for example? What's the best route? What do you think, Steeler Nation? Drop me a comment below. And remember, guys, if you haven't yet subscribed to the best up-and-coming channel anywhere on the internet for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, hit that subscribe button now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And let's finish this as we do with everything we do. Here we go, Steelers.